Hey, I'm Bill DeYoung, and this is the St. Pete Catalyst. So happy today to be joined by two very fine actors joining us from out there in the netherworld of cyberspace, Ronnie Marmo and the fabulous Joe Mantegna. And it is, did I pronounce that right, Joe? Is it
That's
Mon?
perfect. No,
Mon?
that's perfect, Bill.
Okay. Anyway, these guys are the two behind this one-man show called I'm Not a Comedian, I'm Lenny Bruce. This is coming to the Jabe Theater at the Straz Center this coming, is it Saturday or Friday? What am I counting? It's Saturday, the 21st. And they're talking to me from God knows where, but here they are. Gentlemen, hello.
Good.
How
Hi.
you doing, Bill?
So the deal is here, so I should explain to people, this is Ronnie as Lenny behind me. I think we all know who Lenny Bruce was and why he was so important to entertainment industry, to communication and stand-up comedy in America and around the world. Ronnie has written this show. It is a stand-up, it is a one-man show in which he appears as Lenny Bruce, and he also stars in it. Mr. Mantegna has directed the show. So I'm utterly fascinated with this. Ronnie, I wanted to start with you. You can tell me why. I mean, where did this idea come from? Why did you want to do this?
About 15 years ago, some other guy, a great writer, Sam Bobrick, had a play called Lenny's Back and Boy Is He Pissed. That was the name of the play. And my friend Charlie Brill said, hey, this guy wrote this one-man show. I don't want to learn the lines. Why don't you do it and I'll direct it? And I was like, Lenny Bruce, I don't know. At that point, he would have been in his 80s. So he would have had friends still alive in LA. So I was nervous about it. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to piss off Lenny's friends.
Right? No, friends like Pat Harrington, Joanne Worley, all these people knew Lenny very well.
Yeah.
And so eventually, after 2 years, he talked me into it. Well, I knew a little bit about Lenny, like everyone else, but mostly I was a Carlin and, Richard Pryor guy and all those guys.
Yeah.
And then once I, researched the guy, I fell in love with him. So I did this show twice. We did 2 6-month runs and it was fantastic. The issue with the play is that I just couldn't do his bits because they didn't have the rights. And so I thought, well, if we're going to tell the story, let's tell the whole story. And so I worked hard to get the rights, took 5 years to write the play. And I just thought, it feels very timely, but the truth is I wasn't the mastermind behind like, it's perfect timing, let's do it. It was more like I was inspired and excited about this and I did it. And it turned out to be perfect timing. And obviously I brought it to Joe and the rest is history.
Well, to get the rights, what do you have? Katie Bruce is his daughter. She's kind of the trust, I guess. Did you have to like win her over with flowers and chocolates or how'd that work?
She's like a sister to me now and I'm still winning her over, but she's the best. And the answer is yes, but a little more than flowers and chocolate. She's very protective of her dad's legacy and that makes sense to me. I would be too. And so, but we have a very special friendship and she's now entrusted me with the material,
So it's a combination. I mean, did he write a memoir? Did he write something other than his bits that's left for us to peruse?
He wrote it's his autobiography, which I think it's more of a memoir. It's called How to Talk Dirty and Influence People.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
And yeah, it was great. And in fact, a couple of years ago, they asked me to record it. So I did the audio book as Lenny. I read it. And so you could get it on Audibles. It's out now. And
oh, cool.
It was really a big challenge.
So this show is kind of a combination of the bits, obviously the famous and maybe the not so famous, and things that he actually said in his autobiography.
Yeah.
Maybe in interviews and stuff like that.
That's exactly right. It's kind of like Joe and I, we take you back from the moment they found him and how they found him. And we go in reverse. We tell the play in reverse. We tell the story. And there's a lot of times I take you back on stage, in a club. And then there's other times I step out, what we refer to as the storytelling aspect. And I just talk to the audience as if we're right here, right now. And I want to take you through what happened, so we're from the 60s back into present time.
I want to ask you both the $1 million question that you always get asked, which is Lenny's legacy today and why it's so important to take note of who he was and what he did and the barriers he broke. Why is it so important? Joe, I'll start with you. Why is Lenny Bruce? Why do we need to know about him?
Well, I mean, I think we got one indication at the Oscars this year when a comedian got slapped in the face in front of millions of people. I mean, and that's just one incident of like where, in a way, things are a little weirder now than they were even in the 60s. And I've lived through both. So, I mean, in the sense that, it's fluctuating in a way, the way we define what our freedoms are and what freedom of speech is, and just and what that really means. When I see stuff like that, I hear that maybe Huckleberry Finn is going to be banned from libraries and things like that. You start to think, well, wait a minute, how? And I blame it all on education. Are we becoming less educated than we even used to be? I mean, I don't get it. So I mean, in terms of it being timely, I think the timing couldn't even be better for be doing something about Lenny Bruce. And I think anybody who sees this play will get it, in the sense that it brings back a time, going back, 60, 70 years ago in some instances. And yet you can almost draw the parallels, kind of what's going on today in a different way. And so you
Sure.
start to think, so what's going on here? We have so much happening in terms of progress in one area, and we're almost like regressing in other
Regress.
areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say to that, Ronnie? I mean, as far as the legacy and why it's important.
Yeah, I think Joe hit it. I mean, it's like, we're at a place now in our society where, you think about the Dave Chappelles of the world and people like that, and they're the modern day Lenny Bruces. And, it's just strange. It's a strange time. Cancel culture. If someone doesn't like what someone says, they can cancel you or whatever, have a big reaction like Will Smith did when he cracked Chris Rock in the chops there, which is like, I don't mean to make light of it. It's horrible. I mean, you came to Dave Chappelle last week at the Hollywood
Yeah,
Bowl.
heard about that. Yeah.
So I think Joe summed it up really beautifully. I have nothing to add other than when people come to the show, I don't care if you're 20 or 90, you've seen Lenny or not, they get it. And it certainly gives you a lot to think about. I mean, look, the play, we do the funny bits. It's funny.
Yeah.
But it's also a tragedy in a big way. So it's not like just it's a full evening, we take you on a ride. And I just think that Lenny's voice now is just needed more than ever,
Back in the day, this just occurred to me. I didn't write this down, but while listening to you guys talk, back in the day, didn't people sort of mainstream America, if they thought of him at all, other than what they read in the newspapers, didn't they sort of think, oh, he's either Red Fox or he's Rusty Warren or something? He's just some foul-mouthed comic. I mean, but he was making statements. It was different from that.
Well, he was doing blue material, but he was like doing this material and suddenly was more mainstream than a Red Fox.
That's what I mean. It had to do with everyday, husbands and wives and all that stuff. That's what I'm thinking.
He was the first guy to come on stage, like in a real way, publicly, and say, like, listen to what happened with my wife last night. And everybody's like, you're not going to tell jokes? What do you mean? You can talk about your wife. And what happened was he was working these dive bars and he was making the band laugh. He was just turning around making the band laugh about his life. And and the rest is history. Because there was a time when Lenny actually did jokes. He was actually an impressionist.
Wow.
Early in his career, he was brilliant. He did the rant, he did everybody. And then he was like, he found his voice eventually, very much like Carlin did.
I was just going to say, you just look at two great comics in George Carlin and Richard Pryor. You look at them early in their careers; they were telling jokes too. I mean, I remember seeing them on the Ed Sullivan Show and that kind of thing. But if you had talked to them, and it's documented that both of them in specifically give huge credit to Lenny Bruce in the sense that he had such an influence on them finally being able to say, okay, you know what, we can actually step out. We should go a little further. Telling jokes isn't going to do it for me. I got to go to this next step.
Was it the kind of thing where he wasn't recognized until after he was beaten down and gone? Or were there people in his corner while he was stuck? I'm 63, so I was around them, but it's all kind of a blur to me. I was a kid. Were there people in his corner saying, "Stop arresting this guy. This guy's giving you straight dope," kind of thing?
Yeah, he had fans and people who cared about him. I mean, he was very close to Hugh Hefner, and two of his best buddies, which is a little funny to say now, was Blake and Spector. He hung out with those guys. I was like, I used to have a joke in the play about that, and decided it was too
Spector. What a gang.
Friends a little more carefully, but that was it was too schmaltzy. We took it out, but but yeah, no, he had guys in his corner, but he became the focus of the example. people at that time didn't like when you held a mirror up to society and questioned things.
Yeah.
Question, yeah, but why? Was like nobody wanted to talk about that. And so he got arrested for doing a bit in Chicago called Religions Incorporated. There wasn't even one dirty word. He just offended some Catholic cop because he made the Pope Jewish in the joke, and it was very funny. And so they focused on him because he became the example, but he certainly had people in his corner. But
That's good.
And
That's
we even
good.
make mention in the play. We even make a mention how Pataki years later actually granted him a pardon.
And he apologized. Yeah, he apologized, said we were wrong, and we're sorry.
That's sweet. Joe, before we get out of here, I want to ask you how you got involved with this. And
well, I'd known Ronnie already. He had this wonderful theater company, 68 Cent Theater in Hollywood. Then they moved locations into the San Fernando Valley, and I had done some directing for him at his one space. And then when he moved into this other theater, he told me, said he was working on this piece about Lenny Bruce, would like me to look at it, and he was interested in me directing it. And basically, I said, well, let's see what you got. I mean, he stood up on the stage. I sat at this empty theater, and for like almost 90 minutes, he basically recited this play that he had written.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer. I mean, I go by one motto in my career: if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage.
Yeah.
But if it's on the page, then you got something. I saw what he had, and I thought to myself, well, the material is all there. What you have, I thought, was just tremendous. I says, and I'm happy to direct it, because my feeling was I think I've got some ideas, some input as to how this can be done, and so together he and I, took this material that he had written and orchestrated it and staged it, and I added some different things. We moved stuff around, we took stuff out, put new stuff in, and ultimately it was there. But bottom line is, it's all about the material and the performance. And I just felt that Ronnie had done a beautiful job at writing it, and does an incredible job in performing.
Yes, Ronnie was telling me before we came on that it had been done in LA for a while, and it's not like it's a month old, is what I'm saying. It's not,
oh no, well,
why are you still hanging around though? I thought, hey man, I directed it 2 years ago. Why are you
oh no. Hey, look, Hamlet's been around a long time too, and people are still directing that, and taking that. So I mean, no, we ran for years in LA, New York, Chicago. I mean, everywhere we go, and the response has been so tremendous. No, when you've got a horse that's winning the race, you don't jump off the horse. You ride the horse till it's dead. You know what I mean? Hopefully, we got a long ride ahead of us, though.
You're not traveling on the road with Ronnie, are you? I mean.
No, 72 hours in Florida, I can't work in right now.
You and a lot of.
Well, I've seen it. I've seen it in New York. I've seen it in Chicago. I've seen it in LA. I mean, I go when I can. I would love to go to Florida if I could for 72 hours, but in this particular instance, I can't. But he'll be doing it all over the country at some point.
Yeah. And I invite Joe always. I've done. I think Bill. I counted the other day. I think I'm at 392 performances. Wow. Of this 90-minute monologue for the actors watching. You know what that's like. It's like, I remember in the old days when I had a 2-minute monologue to learn, I would be mad. I gotta learn this monologue. I have a 90-minute monologue. It's just me, nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. And
does it change from night to night? I mean, obviously your inflection and stuff. It's not by rote the same every time you do it, I imagine.
Well, that's why I can do it so often. The piece is really unique in that, like, the words are always the same, except one section. I have this one section I allow myself improv, depending on how it's going. This one bit Lenny to do about blah, blah, blah. And I go off on a tangent sometimes. But generally speaking, the audience, what's special about this piece, and maybe why I can still do it, is because the audience has the ability, the show's always good, right? We always do our best. But there's this, the audience has the ability to unlock that special place, that it goes to a place that and so every night it's almost like, it's like an addict, it's like you get the taste, you go, oh, we're going there. We're going there. So every night, it's like I give them my best, whatever it is in that moment, but it is uniquely fresh every night. And I've had strangers, Bill, come back a dozen times, total strangers.
Anybody ever walked out and said, this guy's too much for me?
A couple of times.
Shades of Lenny.
Yeah, it's the biggest compliment. I try to chase him with the mic, but it depends what part of the show. I don't want to ruin my rhythm. So if it's a good part, I chase him. If it's not, I just ignore it and let it. But it's good.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I interrupted. You were going to say
No.
something else. It was really wise and brilliant what you were going to say, I'm sure. Yeah.
Listen, are you
Sorry.
Italian? Oh no,
What?
you look Italian. Are you Italian?
No, not at all.
All right, well, it's three amigos here, but
I just get with the company, whoever I'm talking with. You know what I mean?
There you go.
I hope you're able to make the show, Bill. That'd be
I hope
awesome.
I am too, man. I look forward to it. What else did I wanted to ask you really quick. I mean, any plans for the future, like down the road, that will it be a film version or something like that? I mean, is that something that you're thinking about?
Yeah, we've got some plans. We during the pandemic we shot the play, and we've been tinkering with the play. I mean, we shot the play like a dozen times over the 5 years,
Yeah.
but like we got it really, really nicely. And so we're going to, and not just a camera in the back. You know how you see those theater shows that never hold up. We
Yeah.
really shot it beautifully. And so we've been working on that, and we have other ideas. And to be honest with you, even though we did LA, New York, and Chicago for such long sit downs, we're just starting to hit the road with it in a real way. And so we're
Yeah.
very excited. And Tampa is like, I have 100 first cousins. They live in Clearwater. I got all the Marmos moved to.
Oh yeah.
So I
No, and we had such a great response in Palm Beach too.
yeah.
There are a lot of Marmos in Palm Beach as well.
I don't know. I don't. Maybe probably, but I don't. Tampa, yes, and I can't wait to see the family. And my fiance Janelle, her mom lives in Bradenton. Her mom.
Oh yeah.
So we're making a thing out of it. We're gonna be there for 9 days, and
Oh,
Make-
fantastic. The
Yeah.
weather's good right now, gentlemen. Joe, I wish you could come down. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, the weather's always good. I mean, like I live in California and Florida. Those are two of my favorite spots to be,
There you go.
especially in the winter time.
My wife and I are coming out to actually finally do drive the Pacific Coast Highway in September. We're finally
Oh, great.
rented a convertible. Can go up to
Great.
Big Sur and all that stuff. Never seen.
Oh
it.
yeah, you got to do the 17-mile drive through, to Pebble Beach and all of that.
It's something we've been dreaming about for years. So we're finally making
Yeah,
it.
you'll love it.
Two quick things. I want to remind everybody, let me put myself back on the screen here momentarily. I'm not a comedian. I'm Lenny Bruce. Is this Saturday, the 21st, in the Jabe Theater at the Straz Center, the David A. Straz Center in Tampa, Florida. You can find tickets online there at the Straz Center site, which we'll put underneath here and post-production. And my thanks to Ronnie Marmo and to Joe Mantegna for being here. Joe, if you can give me a little fat Tony, I'd be thrilled, man.
A little fun. Oh yeah, I got his license plate right behind me. I see right there. Yeah.
Oh,
And if he
give
was
me a
here,
little-
you'd be. Yeah. See that? See that? Yeah. I just did did a read through of a new episode just yesterday. So let me tap it. Tony, are you here? What are you talking about? Get the hell out! Oh yeah. See, he's getting angry with me now.
There you go. That's the Simpsons, folks. I know you know that, but I'm reminding you anyway.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure and a delight and a thrill in all those words. And all the best. Thanks for
Thank
being
you,
on.
Bill. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Cheers, guys.